Okay, combine drains. They can be an absolute buzz killer, or worse still, a job killer when it comes to renovation projects here in Brisbane. Now, I had one of our regular design clients reach out earlier this week, and they're like, basically, can you give us some tips and tricks on how to spot combine drains before we start going down the design process with our clients? And I was like, amazing question. So why don't I share the answer with you guys here in this week's video. So before we dive into the video, I want to make it crystal clear. I am not a civil engineer. I'm not a plumber. This is not my area of expertise. However, I have picked up a few tips and tricks over the years on how to spot these things. So yeah, I'm not for 1 second going to pretend that this is a technical or technically correct video that I'm going to talk through the ins and outs. I'm just going to give you some high level, obvious warning signs to look for so that you can hopefully pick up the most obvious combine drains. So where do we start? To start this conversation, we probably need to give you a bit of a history lesson. So let's go way back in time. Back in the early 1900s, they were planning to sewer the city. So by the city, I mean here in Brisbane. Now, they rolled out the sewerage network, and between roughly the early 1900s and the mid 1900s, they took the approach, how do I explain this? They basically deemed it acceptable for people to share sewerage lines. So it's basically save costs. Like, why put in 5 pipes when you can put 1 pipe in and have everyone connect into that same pipe, etc., etc. So what you'll find is in the inner city areas in particular, so I'm talking like Wollongabba, Paddington, Red Hill, all of those sort of areas, there is a higher than average chance that you're going to come across a combine drain. So just to recap, basically you have your reticulated line, which is owned by Urban Utilities here in Brisbane, and then the normal practice is basically you have a property connection coming off that, and then your private line running into that connection. However, when you've got a combine drain, you've got the reticulated shared controlled body or reticulated line. Far out, I need coffee this morning. I've taken a week off on holidays and it's hitting me hard, let's just say that. So yeah, you've got your reticulated urban utilities line here, and then in the combine drain situation, you've got 1 property connection, and then you've got 1 private line that then connects to each individual house from there. So that worked back in the day, but these days, higher densities, higher population, everyone's squishing into areas, and therefore it's putting additional load on these pipes. And these pipes are typically really small ones, like 100 diameter pipes. So yeah, additional pressure is going in there. They can't handle the increased load. So therefore, when you trigger an application, and usually it's triggered via a plumbing application, the criteria has chopped and changed over the years, but these days, as I understand it, plumbing applications are the usual trigger for this. They will turn around, they being council, urban utilities, and basically say, great, here is the opportunity to break the combine drain. So what we want to do is basically take you off that shared connection point and create your own connection into the reticulated line. And while you're at it, you may as well provide for a provision for the neighbours doing the same, etc., etc. So the reason why this is a buzz killer and a job killer, first and foremost, you often need to get neighbours' consent. Unless you're at the very end of the line, you need to get neighbours' consent to dig their yard up, reshuffle the lines, all of that sort of stuff. Now, if you're on great terms with your neighbour, and if your neighbour is proactive, or what's the word I'm looking for? Forward thinking. If they're forward thinking, the neighbour's going to be like, yep, we know we're going to have to do this at some stage when we want to go and renovate, extend, etc., etc. There is someone walking past my car and they look dodgy as freaky dinks. Okay, I'm going to keep recording. Hopefully they don't come knocking on my door. You might see them walk back past the back window soon. Anyway, let's keep going. What was I talking about? So yes, best case scenario, the neighbours forward thinking, they go, hey, you know what, we actually going to have to fix this up ourselves down the track. If you do it now, that's going to save us the hassle and all of that sort of stuff. You may even be super lucky and they're like, we'll kick in a little bit of money because it benefits us, etc. That is a very rare situation, very rare scenario. More often than not, where is the good dude gone? Oh, freaky dicks, there he goes, walking across the road. You see him? Anyway, he's gone now. Cool, I can refocus. So, worst case scenario though. So, best case scenario, they're all on board, happy days, everyone works together. Worst case scenario, neighbour doesn't like you. And the neighbour's like, yeah, I'm going to jump at any opportunity to make your life hard. Or, more realistically, they're like, yeah, where you want to stick that new sewage line? It's right through our pool. He's come back the other side now. Oh, have I locked my door? I don't know. I don't want to make it obvious. He's gone back in the house. Okay, we're good. I'm not going to re-record this video. You're going to get it all bloopers and flaws and all. So yeah, worst case scenario, they don't want to let you go through, or there's a nice pristine pool or a new backyard landscaped area or something like that at the rear of the property, and they're like, yeah, look, we don't want you to go digging it up to put a new line through there because it's going to impact on us in terms of our use of our property and all that sort of stuff. So that's where the whole dream killer, buzz kill stuff comes in. If you can work around that though, what you'll find is financially it's a real burden. So I haven't looked at this in years and years, but a good 10 years ago I had someone say to me that breaking a normal combine drain on a property added 20 if not 30 grand to a project. Now obviously if you're talking like a $2 million renovation, yeah, 20 or 30 grand or whatever it is these days, it's probably double these days. Not such a buzzkill. Let me rephrase that. It is a buzzkill, but it's not a dream killer. It's not a project killer. However, if you're just talking like a 50 or 100 grand small little renovation or extension to a house, that is a big difference. And that's such a difference that people are likely to stop and just go, you know what? There goes the guy again. They're likely to sit here and say, yeah, no, the project's not going to go ahead. That kills it. So that is the reason why these designs that I was talking about earlier, rightfully so, we're saying, okay, let's think about this. Let's work out how to identify these things in advance so that we can warn our clients before they become financially and emotionally committed to the design, etc., etc. So this now that you understand the backstory, now that you understand what the issues are and all that sort of stuff, let's talk about how to spot them. So what I do is when I look at the urban utilities maps, and there's a heap of different maps, you can go to the Dial Before You Dig ones, the council ones, like plumbing records, all of that sort of stuff. But what I do is I go to the urban utilities map, which is actually for those of you who get Charlie reports. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep pushing on today's video. I don't have time to re-record. But yeah, those of you who get the Charlie reports, you will find that the services images are included in there, and I usually put a warning note when I personally spot these things. But if you're not getting the Charlie reports, what you need to do is basically look up the services image, and if you look at the boundaries of the property and you cannot see an individual property connection coming into that allotment or the allotments within that holding property report, within that holding, that's what I should say, then that's an alarm bell to say that it could be a combine drain. The exception to the rule is if you're in a rural area like Pullenvale, Gumdale, any of those areas where you're likely to have on-site treatment systems. Because obviously if you've got an on-site treatment system, you're not connecting into the reticulated network. So yeah, what you do is you look at that sewage image, and basically you see if you can spot any lines running into the allotment or the allotments which are a part of that property that you're actually interested in. If you cannot see a property connection going into your lot, and if you happen to look at some of the neighbouring properties and they're in the same boat, that is an alarm bell that you're on a combine drain. But to be more specific, what you should be doing is phoning council, having a chat to the plumbing section, checking out with them, or having a chat to a civil engineer, etc., etc. But yeah, if you're just looking for that real high-level cursory initial check, look at the urban utilities map and see if you can see lines running into the property. Now, what I will do is when I'm editing this video, I'll put a little image in there, maybe a few images, examples of properties that do have combine drains and ones that don't have combine drains. So you can kind of see what I look for when playing that detective game. Okay, I think that wraps up everything I want to talk about today. Like I said, hopefully it gives you some insight into what combine drains are, why they were created, why they're no longer supported, and what the situation or the issue is when you need to break them, the cost, all of that sort of stuff, and then most importantly, how to actually spot them. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this video. I'm going to go get that coffee. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all. Bye.